is what you're made of. You are perfect and pure, even if you're not sure. It's what you're made of. L-O-V-E, love.
I'm supposed to remind you what's going on? That's quite a responsibility. So I just get out of the way and let Spirit let me know and you know at the same time. What's going on right now at this time of history is a shift of consciousness, a massive shift in consciousness among the human race from separation to oneness. Now, we've talked about this for so long, and we know that the ego is putting up a fight, because when you recognize your oneness, your individual importance as an ego disappears. You realize you never had any power anyway. As an individual expression of separation, you have no power at all. You're placing yourself in a dark corner of your consciousness, and you're not seeing reality. You're not seeing anything that's really going on. What happens when I begin to remember who I am is I begin to remember that you are a part of my consciousness, that we all are a part of a single consciousness that we could call God, we could call eternal love, we could call divine mind, we can call it anything we want. But the fact is that we're all part of that. That's why the metta meditation works. Excuse me. When we're sending kind wishes, whoever we're sending it to is right here with us in our consciousness. We are one, and we are together in that moment. The illusion of separate bodies being apart disappears because we're focused on what is real, the real person inside. The spirit that we are joins with the spirit of the other person, so-called. I love it when I forget what spiritual teacher said this, but when they were asked, how should we treat other people? And the teacher said, what others? What other people? That's how you treat those that you see or appear to see outside of you. They are you. They're just sitting in a different place over there, in a different time and space and location. I was sitting there the other day. I'll be in the same exact place that you are tomorrow. We all share one reality. And this is a radical idea for those who believe separation is your only reality. What you see, the physical manifestation, the material world, is your only reality. When I first came to Unity, there was a guest speaker that day, and that speaker characterized Unity. He said, the reason I love Unity is it's an organization of radical inclusion. And I thought, wow, that sounds good. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know at the time, but it seems that the inclusion of people that don't look like you, think like you, love like you, worship like you, is a radical philosophy on earth. I think it was Jack that says, why is it so radical? It seems natural to me, and it seems natural to many of you. But you look around at the world and the fundamental philosophies that are being manifest in the world, or let's say taken as the basis for action, is based on separation. It's based on judgment of others. It's not based on oneness. And so this is the shift that we're involved in right now, and I'm counting on you to be part of this shift of consciousness. So many of our institutions, our governments, our churches, our businesses, our schools, and other organizations are all based on the fundamental mistake that we're separate from each other. And in the extreme, some people believe they belong to the only true religion, or they're the superior race. If you've ever done your DNA, you know there's no such thing as race. We're all from everywhere. But unity, on the other hand, is a spiritual movement that's based on the premise that we are all divine in nature. All of us are divine in nature, and each person is endowed with the same spiritual power. We are all part of that spiritual identity. We are all sons and daughters of God. The radical part of our second principle of unity is that every single person has the spark of divinity within them. A lot of religions still treat this guy, Yeshua, you call him Jesus, as the only Son of God. It's just so interesting. So it has to go, what do you think God is? And what is the source of all reality? And if you're part of that source, what are you? But that's the most important question. What am I? Who am I? What am I? Then I can begin to ask the question within my consciousness of what is my purpose here. If I find in my consciousness that I'm a spiritual being, then I must have a purpose of remembering that and helping you to remember that. So the radical part of the second principle isn't that God is love and only love, or good and only good. It's that you are too. It means there are no inherently bad people. I know we really want to have bad guys and good guys. But guess what? You're the bad guy to some people. And you're the good guy to some people. But there are no inherently bad people. It's a myth. There are just people who are at different levels of remembering who they are and expressing their true nature. And some have forgotten altogether. But remembering who we are, that's what life's all about, isn't it? So rather than judging and labeling and condemning, I prefer to help them remember who they are. The philosophy of inherent divinity has made unity very attractive. A very attractive path for a lot of people from many diverse backgrounds. But it's not very attractive if you want to have the true religion, the only true God, the only true religion. If you want to be different and above and better than anybody else, this is not really a great path for you. Because immediately we say that no one path is right for everyone, not even this one. Oh my goodness. You have to find in your own consciousness, in your own life, the experience of what the source of all creation is for you. And sometimes that takes a little work. It takes a little practice, getting out of your little human identity and expanding your mind, your consciousness to include everyone and everything. So it has been a very diverse path, unity. But it's like everything else in unity, it hasn't been a straight path. Everything else in life, really, it's been that crooked road that led me right here. Back to you. Back in the 50s, and Missouri was still segregated back in the 50s. And so was Unity Village. It's very interesting. Yeah. They were obeying the law of the land. They didn't really go against it until they started ordaining people of color. And in 1952, Unity ordained their first 2 black ministers. And they also had a very dynamic woman named Johnnie Coleman come along in the 50s. There she is. She's considered the first lady of New Thought. Now, when she arrived at Unity, it was because she started practicing the principles of Unity. She was writing back and forth to people at Unity, and she was experiencing a tremendous healing in her life. And she knew that if she practiced these principles, that she could not only be healed, she could heal others. Healing is a big part of Unity. It used to be a really big part. You'd have to show at least 2 miraculous healings before you could be ordained. I'm not kidding. Using the power of your mind to bring about a shift in the physical condition around you. So Johnnie Coleman shows up, Unity Village. She's studying to be a minister, and she can't even live on campus. She had to live at the YMCA, 15 minutes away towards Kansas City. The village is in Lee's Summit, Missouri. So one day it was a pouring rainstorm. Her car breaks down on her way to Unity, and she has to walk in the rain to campus. And when she gets there, she tells all the other students and faculty there, I'm done. I'm not doing this. This is crazy. And the students, her fellow students, petitioned the leadership at Unity to create a dormitory for people of color. Now, it was back in the corner of the property with the workers, which were probably also people of color. That's where I would have been. My family is Portuguese immigrants. My grandmother and grandfather are immigrants from Portugal. And I always felt more comfortable with the authentic people. People were being real. People that are going through some struggles, they're going to be real with you. I didn't find New Thought through Unity. I found New Thought through a black church down a side road in Amherst, Massachusetts. It was Hope Community Church. And there was this amazing couple there, Reverend Laverne Anderson and his wife, Norma Jean. And she would play the piano, and he was the preacher, and their kids were the choir. And they created an experience in that little place. It wasn't much bigger than this, had a higher ceiling, of course. And I realized the history of that church came out of segregation. It was a UCC church, a congregational, and the big white church with the rich white folks was on the village green. And this little beautiful building was down a side street, maybe 5 minutes walk from the village green, but on the side street it was segregated. That was for the black folks. So my friends Norma Jean and Reverend Laverne, bless their souls, they moved from Springfield, Illinois to Amherst, Massachusetts. Norma Jean was the dean at the School of Education in University of Massachusetts, where I graduated. And they found this little church, and nobody was using it. There was nobody there. They resurrected that place. And when Laverne Anderson passed away, his son Carlos, who I hope can come here someday as a guest speaker, he was really a mentor for me. He took over, and he was a gay preacher who was preaching and singing. They had the music ministry at a Unity in Miami. He and his partner moved up to Amherst, Massachusetts. And that congregation exploded with energy. He brought the New Thought teaching. And he brought this amazing thing to me called unity teachings. I had never heard about most of what unity teaches. Also, I was exposed to A Course in Miracles at that place for the first time. What led me to that church, though, was the gospel music. I was walking down the street one morning, happened to be an Easter morning, and there was snow on the ground, a couple inches of snow still on the ground, and the crocuses were growing up through the snow. And I remember it because I stopped to look at the crocuses, and I heard this music, this amazing angelic gospel music coming down the street. And I followed it. My friend and I just said, okay, let's follow that music. And we followed it to this little church. We were like, let's go in. And that became my church for like 11 years. Once I walked in that door, there was no way I was walking out again. I walked out of there an ordained minister. And the only reason I left was because I had a calling to teach A Course in Miracles. But something was really deep and authentic that I found in that place. And it was amazing to me that they talked a lot about Johnny Coleman. And so I had to find out who she was. They used to go to Chicago sometimes to her ministry. She had thousands of people in her church. And she had a seminary. And at some point, it was actually, I have it right here, 1974, she disassociated herself from Unity because they weren't honoring the black community as much as she would have liked. And so she changed the name of her church to the Christ Universal Temple. And she started a seminary there as well. And 11 other black ministers from Unity followed her. And it became a huge organization. And it was necessary. It didn't diminish Unity at all. It was her calling, and she went and did that. But it started with her standing up for herself. At Unity Village, she stood up for herself, and she was the first to integrate the campus. She's an amazing lady, and if you want to learn more about her, I encourage you to look her up. It took me, I had a 2-hour segue off of my message today, reading all about her last night. But you see, all of this led to Unity ministers and leaders having deeper conversations, and it continues to this day. See, there's always a greater good that's unfolding in every situation. The situation of Unity not being segregated, well, that changed. It was a greater good. And Johnny Coleman, Reverend Johnny Coleman, needing to expand her ministry, to reach more people of color, that was good. That was a greater good. There's greater good always. There's always a greater good happening. I know it. And what's happening today, all the things that really upset us, let us try to look for the greater good beyond them. Because it's there. It's unfolding. It might just be a seed. It might be a germ of a seed. But we're shifting our consciousness. It is shifting. And it's going to shift if you do. You'll see it if you shift your consciousness. So another thing that happened out of all of this is that there was a Reverend Ruth Mosley that suggested we need a curriculum for people of color because the curriculum at Unity is too geared towards just white people. When Johnny Coleman was ordained in 1958, it was the year I was born, actually. There was I saw a photo. There was a group of about 40 or 50 white ministers, and there was one black woman standing there in the back, Johnny Coleman. And today, you wouldn't see that. When I went to Hope Community Church, it was about 50-50 of people of color and hippies. I don't know, what do they call you today? Woke? Or just old hippies? Just people that love everybody. Come on. And so the conversation started, we need a curriculum for people of color. And they started something called the Urban Ministry School, which to date, has ordained over 200 ministers. Greater good came out of it. Over 200 Unity ministers ordained because of the Urban Ministry School. Fantastic. Something good is always coming out of whatever situation you're in. God is in the midst of it. Spirit is in the midst of it. It can only come out, evolve into greater good, because that's the evolution of the universe. Unity has struggled through the years to find its identity as diverse and inclusive. But again, it's the core of the teaching which has always guided and propelled our movement forward. That you are inherently good, that you are inherently God, that we are one. That when we find our common humanity, we'll find our common divinity. This is the core, one of the core, I think the core principle of unity, along with your creating your own reality. But I want to say, we are in a great, amazing movement, in a great place, where everyone is not only accepted, but honored, cherished for who you are. You're cherished for who you are. We need your individual expression of God just as you are. We all need each other. You are absolutely perfect, just the way you are. And if God lives in you, I have a responsibility to not only include you in my human family, but in the family of God as well. I have a deep responsibility to seek the light in you and all my brothers and sisters and learn from you as well. When I forget who I am, I need to learn from you. I need a reminder every now and then. Remind me that I am the light, that I am divine. See, if I'm able to see the Christ in you, then I'll see it in myself. If I exclude anyone from the family of God, I'll be the one excluded. That's just how it works, because we are one. And you're just a different version of me. So if I'm excluding you from the love of God, who am I leaving out? Myself. So it reminds me to be humble. It reminds me to love my neighbors as myself without exceptions. And I want to leave with this. I want to wrap it up with something that you read in 1 John chapter 4. I selected a couple verses because it's a long chapter. But it goes like this. Beloved, let us love one another. For love is of God, and everyone that loves is born of God and knows God. And he that doesn't love doesn't know God, for God is love. Beloved, if God so loved us, we ought also to love one another. Now, no person has seen God at any time, but if we love one another, God dwells in us, and that love is perfected in us. And this is how we know that we dwell in God, because He is in us, because He's given us of His Spirit. Herein is our love made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment. Because as He is, so are we in this world. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. Because fear has torment. He that fears is not made perfect in love. I added, the energy of fear is simply blocking the love that is there. You're not manifest in that perfect love until the fear has disappeared. If a man says, I love God, and hates his brother, he's a liar. For he that loves not his brother whom he has seen, how can he love God whom he has not seen? It's pretty obvious, isn't it? And this commandment have we from Him, that he who loves God love also his brothers and sisters. And so it's very simple. Include your brothers and your sisters, all of them, in your love. And remember, everything is unfolding perfectly, each and every moment. There's always a greater good to be seen and experienced. Keep your eyes and your intention on seeing it, and all is well. I love you so much. Thank you.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass. And visit us online at unityonCapeCod.org. This video was made possible in part through a grant from Unity Worldwide Ministries and the Templeton Foundation.